No doubt women coming forward about sexual harassment, abuse, and assault has brought to the surface a misuse of power. But now that the Me Too campaign is nothing new, has the movement gone too far? And is there a way women and men could carve a new path forward that makes room for compassion, respect, empathy, and understanding? Joining us live is our weekly sex blogger, Natalie LaHave, and Amanda Ronson, who is an energy master and conscious development expert. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Welcome back to the show, Amanda. So this is we've been talking a lot about, these issues, but we haven't really addressed the repercussions and what, what Me Too has done in the not so productive way.
Right, and I was just telling a friend that a man that I know, I'm not going to name names, but he's told me that he used to stop hitchhikers and take them, to Tel Aviv and back, and he doesn't stop for women anymore. And I was like, why don't you do that? And he's like, I'm scared that they'll say that I did something. And I did tell him, if you don't do anything, you're fine. He's like, no, but a lot of women are taking advantage of the situation,
right? And
it's getting a little bit out of control. And people aren't sure what harassment is anymore, and they don't know how to act in the workplace or around women. And I feel like there's a lot of confusion.
Right. And in your case, you work with a lot of people, families, couples, adults, workplaces. What have you seen now, kind of as the short term?
Well, the old behaviours no longer work. So a man thinks that he gets noticed and he behaves a certain way. A woman feels the way that they need to behave. And now all of a sudden we've got a whole new code of conduct and ethics, and we need to start teaching people how to use them and how to behave in the workplace or even in relationships, because the whole dating game's changed. Everything changes.
So now it just seems like there's so much fear. Are we finding that men are afraid to hire women just because they don't? Even nice family men that are not these.
They're not promoting women, they're promoting the men because they don't want people to think that they promoted the woman,
We've heard
so that's negative for the women.
You can't even have a meeting with a woman, if you're a guy with a woman, with the door closed. You know what I mean? They have to keep the door open. And this has led to many, many issues going down now in the workplace. So now women aren't necessarily being, promoted.
Right. In the past, in the 60s, it was promoted for their brains and their intellect and all this, but now it's out of fear of getting favorable treatment and it being, bordering on inappropriate.
This concerns me, but on the other side, maybe now you see men can start taking some responsibility for their actions and start learning how to go through their emotions, start speaking about things correctly, being honest, authentic. Women as well. Okay, and then we can start learning how to be the new improved man.
Right.
Okay,
so interesting. Speaking of new improved, Michael Douglas recently spoke about this issue, because there's been a lot of his contemporaries, Morgan Freeman, Dustin Hoffman, that are also kind of taking the heat. Are they all the same as the Harvey Weinstein? So here's what Michael Douglas had to say.
Well, I mean, there's as far as the Me Too movement, there's a tremendous outpouring of feelings and a lot of people being held responsible for it. I'm concerned in some cases and in situations where some people that I've seen that there was a rush to judgment that has affected and hurt some people's careers when it certainly may be an issue of somebody saying something in bad taste, but it was certainly not a question of being harassed or physically assaulted. And I think we've all kind of realized that on both sides, and people have been a little more careful before they completely, ruin somebody's career.
So what do you guys have to say?
Well, I was just thinking, women need to learn how to express themselves and communicate that something's uncomfortable for them. So if someone says something to your work and, instead of running to your boss and suing him and actually ruining his life, like Michael Douglas said, maybe we need to learn how to communicate better between men and women and just say, you know what, that wasn't comfortable for me. Maybe next time don't say it in that way. And then everyone just keeps on working like usual. Don't stop making every little harassment a huge, big, story.
So how can men and women, and he's someone who went to rehab for sex.
He was a sex addict. He took responsibility. We don't know if he was forced to it or how that came about, but it doesn't matter. He took responsibility. And then you see now he understands what can happen with that. So he's more sensitive to understand that there's two sides on everything, and something that one man could think is just very natural is not okay to a woman if it's right on her issues.
So how can women help, because if men are so afraid of us now, how can women kind of help pave it
fundamentally
forward so we don't have
women have children, and fundamentally mothers have sons, so we need to learn to educate the boys. We need to show them a new way, a new pathway, and that's part of our responsibility as well. And that's okay. The next generation are learning how to speak and how to behave. But the one thing that really worries me is we've got a loss of chivalry. We're losing all of this gallantry, and I love
I know, we love a good
men.
romantic
So
man. You know, what if someone likes you at work and sends you flowers and he genuinely likes you?
What's happening to all of that? And that does make me fearful.
So chivalry is dead?
No, I don't want it to be. Don't
It
let
needs to go through a makeover, that's all. It just needs to change.
So given that you also work with, you know, with couples, men and women, what can we do together? Like, what's the first step we could do together to kind of
fundamentally learn how to speak from your emotions?
Yeah.
Speak. Say to them, this makes me feel. And then go from there. Don't use blame. Start speaking
Stop blaming people.
from the place of intimacy. And the second thing is learning about sex. Learning that sex is positive, it's beautiful, it's great. So when you come from this place and, you know, you really appreciate sexuality for its beauty, we no longer have to behave in sordid ways. Okay? And then we can get what we need and it's going to appear for us. And that's the key thing at the moment.
Any final thoughts?
Educate on sex. I mean, that's my job, basically. I write about these topics just to get the information out there and so that it's not such a big taboo. They don't talk about it. It just needs to be a natural part of our day-to-day life for men and for women. And then there won't be this, like, you know, power struggle between us and everyone will just, you know, live together.
Kumbaya.
Amen to that. Amen.
Thank you guys so much. Always interesting conversation. All right, coming up next.